Meeting February 24th, 2026 at 7 o'clock PM. Can we all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Clerk Seegers, can you please take roll call?
Trustee Ganguly.
Good evening.
Trustee Ansari.
Good evening.
Trustee Borninski.
Good evening.
It appears as though Trustee Foster is absent. Treasurer Slavens.
Good evening.
Let the record reflect the Clerk Segrist is present and Supervisor Graham Hudak.
Good evening. Thank you, Clerk Seegers. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seegers, supported by Trustee Ganguly. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Okay, we are going to begin the meeting with a presentation of the CDBG 5-year consolidated plan. And I will put that up on the screen. And we have Mike Shepard and
Yeah, we have, we had hired Wade Trim. The board had approved a contract with Wade Trim a few months ago to help us with our 5-year consolidation. So I'm happy to have Jason Smith here from Wade Trim to help walk us through that process. Also, we have Susan Kapinski, my predecessor finance director, who's on the CDBG Advisory Council, along with Amanda Wirtz and Mike Shepard, who really are helping get this process through that we're required to have. And I'm going to turn it over to Jason.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Board, for having us this evening. Winter showed back up. I actually had given up on winter. I put
No, it's February.
took the blade off of my tractor. I jinxed everybody, I'm sorry. Spring is not here yet. Thanks for having me today. As Wendy mentioned, my name's Jason Smith with Wade Trim. Actually, I've been helping the township with their 5-year consolidated plan, and I'll explain what that is exactly here shortly. But dating back about 12 years or so, worked with Mike and Wendy on their last several efforts. And really what this is connected to our Community Development Block Grant Program, our CDBG program. CDBG, if you don't know what that is a federal grant program administered through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Canton Township is a recipient of this grant, getting an annual allocation of CDBG funds each year. These funds have been around since the mid-'70s. The township has received these funds annually for many years now. And really the target of this funding is to assist low and moderate income individuals, people, and areas of communities. Low and moderate income, what does that mean? Well, HUD provides us that definition, and I wanted to provide you with an example of what that means here in the Detroit, Warren, Livonia metro area. I have here on our handout kind of a description of what that is for a 4-person family. So we're looking at our area median income, which is $101,000, and low and moderate income is defined as 80% of that number. So if you live in Detroit, Warren, Livonia area, and you're a 4-person family, you earn $80,800 or less, you fall into that low and moderate income category. That's a moving scale depending on how large your family size is, of course, but just wanted to give you that 4-person household number to give you an idea of what low and moderate income is. Now, you heard me say these funds are used to benefit low and moderate income persons and also areas. I've provided you with a map, which is probably not going to pop on the screen here, but was in your packets. Low and moderate income areas, we can utilize CDBG funds to benefit the blue areas on our map. So what these areas are, and again, these stats all come from the U.S. Census via the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and these are census block groups. These blue areas are our highest percentage of low and moderate income households. You can see how it's mainly concentrated in the eastern portion of the township along the 275 corridor. And these blue areas are areas that have 35% or more of the population that are considered low and moderate income. This map is updated every 5 years or so. We are kind of at the mercy of the federal government giving us this data. we do update as the information becomes available. So we have two criteria here. We have our low and moderate income households, which I gave you the kind of the thresholds for that, and then we have what we consider our low and moderate income areas. And the goal is to utilize funds to provide benefit to those populations. Typical activities that are funded and that are eligible with CDBG funds are housing activities, public facilities, public facility improvements like community centers and parks, infrastructure improvements, and public service activities, so social services. So these are programs that are administered sometimes through a community itself, sometimes through nonprofit groups that provide services in a community. Now, I just listed a whole host of eligible activities, and we're talking about housing and public facilities and infrastructure and services, and that's a lot. Those are broad, and we could probably come up with 1,000 ideas on how to utilize these funds in order to improve any one of those areas within our community. But to give you an idea of the funding levels we deal with here with our CDBG program is historically we're averaging around $385,000 a year. So not a huge sum of money. It'd be a lot of money to me, but when you talk about all the different activities we're able to fund and the need for low and moderate income households, that money does go quickly. So when you think about our planning process right now, which is what we're going through, our 5-year consolidated plan, what we're trying to do is establish a blueprint for the next 5 years. So you may be familiar with your township master plan. It's long-term vision. We're talking right now about a consolidated plan. It's more of a shorter-term vision, a 5-year period. We're trying to establish what the needs of the community are, specifically our low and moderate income households, and also trying to figure out how can we get the best bang for our buck when we're talking about $385,000 or so. We want to make sure we're utilizing that funding the best we can, leveraging resources, like I said, with nonprofit groups that are also providing services or other agencies that are providing these services. So as we go through this planning process, we consult the public, we consult the elected officials and public officials, we consult our agencies and our nonprofit groups in the committee to kind of get a consensus on, hey, what types of things should we be focusing on over the next 5 years? So that way we can best use our federal dollars. Our 5-year consolidated plan is right now being crafted. We're going to be bringing that to our CDBG advisory group here shortly. Our goal is to have a draft plan ready for public viewing in April, and we are required to have a final plan complete, adopted by the board and submitted to HUD by mid-May. So we're moving pretty quick here over the next few months. So you will see the draft and final products, and the adoption and approval of those plans does rest in your hands. Our advisory board serves as a recommendation board. They're the ones that review our proposals that agencies will submit, grant applications and project ideas to try to utilize the CDBG funds to help benefit their clientele. So they'll review that along with staff, provide a recommendation to you all finally for adoption. So I know that's a quick rundown of the CDBG program and the 5-year consolidated plan. I'm happy to answer any questions you do have about the plan, about CDBG. I would like to make a plug that we do have a survey live on the township website. That we do have meetings, we get input from folks, that's all great, but we try to utilize multiple different methods to get input from people. So that is another avenue for people to provide input through that survey. It's a pretty quick, easy one, just a handful of questions, probably takes about 5 minutes to fill out, 10 minutes if you're really thinking about it. So we'd love to get as many people to submit responses as possible. And I also would like to say that even though this is a 5-year plan, the township is required to complete an annual plan every year for 5 years that is a part of that 5-year blueprint and vision. So this isn't the only opportunity to provide input. Township Hall is always here. I don't believe you're planning to move. People can call, they can email, they can provide input through the annual action plan process. They can provide input every 5 years for our 5-year consolidated plan. So plenty of opportunities for people to supply their ideas and get involved. So happy to answer any questions, take any comments that you have.
I just want to let the board know quickly. So just last year, the federal government the CDBG funds were on the chopping block. I mean, they were going to take them away, and the communities across the country screamed because this is a lot. But I think another interesting thing is cities get a lot more money than we do as townships. So I guess a question is, does the county get some of the money that, because of our population, that would normally go direct to a city if we were a city?
No, they do not. The federal government distributes that funding based on a formula allocation. Generally speaking, and I'm not going to break the whole formula down, but it is based on a need and population of a community. CDBG funds are targeting low and moderate income households. And to be honest, Canton Township is in a community that has a lot of those, relatively speaking, when you compare to other communities. So I guess to answer your question, the county doesn't receive any portion of the township's funding. The county does receive their own allocation. And there are several other communities with Wayne County that also receive their own entitlement.
So as a township, we could ask the county for some of the, township money. We could apply to see if we could apply it to some of our projects also, because we're in Wayne County, correct? Or what does the county use their funds for?
Well, the county uses their funds mainly for, in communities, first of all, that are not entitlements. So they use their funds outside of Canton, outside of Livonia, Taylor, Dearborn Heights, Dearborn, Redford Township. So a lot of our smaller communities, think about cities it's in townships that are smaller than 50,000. So they'll utilize their funds in the same manner to benefit low and moderate income households for housing programs, home rehab programs, facility improvements, and so on. But they'll use those in communities that don't receive their own allocation.
Okay, yeah, we just always try to send residents somewhere for help. Michael?
I have a question. How new is that map for CDBG?
Well, the
It looks
source-
much different than the map that I've seen
Yeah.
in the past.
Well, we created this map in February, this month, but the
That's how new it is.
2024 is the source of the data.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's interesting, and this is just going off of memory, is the areas covered appear to have expanded pretty drastically compared to the areas that were covered under the previous map. And so my question is, I don't know that there's been a change in the allocation of our funding, but there is clearly a change in the proportion of a census block where 80% of the individuals, or where the median, people are at that 80% threshold.
Yeah. The one thing that has changed
What is
from your
this
previous
saying?
map is the census block group boundaries changed slightly.
Because of 2000, okay, because of the,
So you, as a community, Canton Township, I don't want to get too much into the weeds on the technical part, but basically, you're a community that doesn't have what is truly called low and moderate income areas, which means more than half of the people in an area are considered low and moderate income. But HUD makes an exception for you, because if you weren't able to, if you had to follow that definition, then you wouldn't have any blue areas. So what they do is they say, we're going to establish a lower percentage for Canton Township, because you're more affluent than most communities in the area, and they set your number lower at 35%. So 35% of the populations of these blue areas are considered low mod income. And then what they say is, would like to make 25% of your block groups eligible. So if you
they
have,
redraw the block groups to make 25% of them eligible,
Yeah.
which is why the different neighborhoods are being covered.
Right.
So the 4 wasn't on the map last time. Now it is.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that probably had to do with the change in the block group boundaries.
But nothing to do with the change in people's economic status.
No.
Okay, that was my question. I was essentially saying, I'm seeing the map get more blue, and I'm like, oh, is this a cause for concern? Are people's income levels dropping in Canton as proportionate to the entire broader group? But that looks like that's not the case.
That's not the case. no.
Thank you. That was very helpful.
And this is done by HUD? Like, this allocation?
Tanya?
Correct.
I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Is this, so this is done by HUD, right? Like
It is,
this-
yes.
This drawing, like, it's a special consideration since we don't really have low or medium income communities. That's what I understand.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Amara?
Could you help me understand? There was a jump of $20,000 in allocation between 2022 and 23, and then about a $20,000 decrease from 24 and 25. What could have influenced that?
Yeah, the federal budget. So every year, the federal budget is passed, and X amount of dollars is allocated towards the Community Development Block Grant Program. And that number can change. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the formula allocation that HUD uses. So if the federal budget goes down, or if the CDBG budget goes down at the federal level, then we see a slight downtick in our allocation. So usually, we see very small percentages up or down on our allocation. You can see over the last 5 years is really about a $25,000 difference between the highest and the lowest allocation. So we stayed pretty consistent, but we're solely at the mercy of the federal budget. So that number changes based on what the federal budget allocates to the program.
And has that had any practical implications for our CDBG programs, that $20,000 to $25,000 difference?
Yeah, I guess I would defer to Mike Shepard on that, but I'd say given the relative small dollar amount, it would not have a huge impact, no.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions? No? Any questions from the staff? I know. Okay. And what were, if you would remind the board what we spent the money on last year? We hit some high topics.
I think I looked that up today. Yeah, so typical historical projects, just to give you an example, a lot of ADA accessibility projects, so improving facilities to provide better ADA access, providing funding for our home rehab program, which is ongoing that the township administers every year. Legal services, which is administered through a nonprofit group that provides legal services for seniors. Which is a good program. Youth programming is another typical historical project that has been funded here at the township, and senior services beyond the legal services as well. So those are kind of, I would say, pretty typical programs that have been funded over the years here at the township.
First
Yeah,
step.
First Step. Yeah, First Step's another.
And we also did, I believe, Wayne Metro.
Wayne Metro, yeah. Wayne Metro is the administers, does the housing rental assistance, yeah.
Rental assistance.
Yeah, so you can see we're doing a lot of rent, we're doing housing, we're doing senior services and youth services pretty heavily is historically what the township has focused their funding on.
Very good. Okay. Anybody else? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
So before I move to the next item, Amara, so we are celebrating Ramadan right now, and Amara brought the community a dinner. You want to kind of explain what you brought in the back to everybody? And
Yeah, so today is the 6th day of Ramadan, and Ramadan is the holy month in Islam where we believe that the Quran was revealed, which is our holy book. The first verses of the Quran were revealed. So I just brought some food for us to break fast together, and I want to thank everyone who came and who ate in community. I also want to thank the township for, making sure we had all the arrangements and for people just, enjoying a good company with one another. So this was, I think, the first time we've done one at a board meeting. So I'm hoping that we can make it a regular practice every year, have at least one iftar where people can come together and break fast. And always, if you have any questions about Ramadan or what it means or any other questions you may have, feel free to reach out to me. I'm very accessible. And I want to thank the board for joining in too. So thank you.
thank you very much. It was very good. Thank you.
And catered by Saj, Greenland, on
Just
Denton
down the
Cherry
street
Hill.
on Cherry Hill.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next, we have board and commission reports. Any board or commission reports? No? So the sustainability team went to view a composting site at Taylor Meadows. A group, especially, we're getting a lot of young people that are on a sustainability team from the high school, which is really cool. So we went to Taylor Meadows and we looked at yard waste and how they compost it with the machines and turned it into fertilizer. And we had 2 elementary schools join us. They want to work with our community, the 2 public schools, to work on our community towards recycling. So we're trying to get Plymouth Canton schools to recycle from the bottom up. So that's pretty cool, too. All right, public comments on agenda items only. Public comments on agenda items only. I have one online. It says Kyle Flieger. So on agenda items only, let me see. Do I have to promote? I guess I did. Doesn't let me, I'll just allow them. Oh, allow to talk, okay.
There it is.
Okay, Kyle Flieger, 3 minutes on agenda items only. Go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's just about the discussion, the housing, and then touched on the sustainability. This is what I was doing, directing comment, was utilizing money for sustainable benefits for those who need. Looking to have a set of teaching him rather than giving him
Mr. Flieger, just to let you know, we can't understand you. You're breaking up a lot. I don't know if you have it on speakerphone. We're having a hard time hearing you.
Is this better?
That's better.
Okay, I apologize. So I had sent some renewable and sustainable options actually into the trustee committee last week that I'm looking to join one of the, I guess, planning sessions or knowledge growing sessions to have open discussion on building some additional revenue for the township through some renewable resources that I see that are not being capitalized on. Additional waste in what we could do for wind turbines and additional things that can be added to infrastructure that is specialized to Michigan's roadways and what we have here for weather conditions that may be able to incur better revenue that we could then share as a sustainable source to those having problems with their, monetary solutions for their housing. And just for example, also having a compost pile and creating that fertilizer is a very good step. To take that to the next level would be trying to capitalize on any methane gases or any gases that were created during this event to capture that and utilize as a renewable energy resource. So I sent multiple ideas over with some specific designs in power parks that we could implement that would be not only an attraction for the people, but would build power, sustainable power for the community, and then be able to immediately utilize that for the community, whether it's drive up electric chargers or we just integrate this into the grid itself. Do we look towards more sustainable options utilizing, for example, that HUD money instead of just the repair of a home? Maybe we could incur some more revenue and share that and lessen the burden on those individuals on a prolonged basis that would ultimately help them better plan and save for those monetary problems in their housing crisis.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, you can email it into our staff. I don't know where it was emailed to. Did anyone receive any email like that? Okay. Okay, you can email it into cantonsupervisor@cantonmi.gov. Okay, thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody in the room? Okay, thank you. Next, can I have a motion to approve the minutes from January 13, 2026, February 10th, 2026, and February 17th, 2026?
So moved.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Ansari. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Treasurer's report and payment of bills.
Yeah. Madam Supervisor, I motion that we pay the bills.
Support.
Motion made by Treasurer Slavin, supported by Trustee Ganguly. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Now the long consent calendar.
Madam Supervisor, I move that the board adopt the consent calendar as presented. Item C1, consider approval of the purchase of one 2026 Ford Maverick Hybrid for facility services. C2, consider approval of the purchase of one 2026 Ford Escape Hybrid with associated trade-in of the 2021 Ford Mach-E for the supervisor's office. Item C3, consider approval of the purchase of 5 police patrol vehicles and 4 investigation bureau vehicles for 2026. C4, consider approving the purchase of copper tubing and brass parts from low bidder Aetna Supply in Grand Rapids, Michigan. C5, consider approval of the purchase of one 2026 Ford Maverick Hybrid and one 2026 Ford F-150 Hybrid for building services. Item C6, request budget amendment for the carryover of fiscal year 2025 open purchase orders to fiscal year 2026. C7, consider approval of professional services agreement for landscape architecture services. Item C8, consider awarding a contract and purchase order for replacement of the underground surge tank for the splash pad. C9, consider awarding a contract for and purchase order for roof replacements at Village Theater, Cherry Hill School, and Bartlett Travis House. C10, consider approving the renewal of Next Requests, Civic Plus FOIA software. And then finally, item C11, consider approving a resolution to sign an amendment to contract 18-5512 with MDOT for the Ford Road Boulevard project.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Borninski. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. General calendar, consider site plan amendment for MCWS Medina Activity Center addition.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve Resolution 2026-13 to approve the Medina Activity Center Site Plan Amendment in Planning Application Number 098-ADS-8197 and the associated stormwater detention and management easement agreement and access and maintenance easement agreement.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. The Medina Activity Center, owned and operated by the Muslim community of Western Suburbs, MCWS, consists of assembly uses, prayer halls, classrooms, religious services, youth lounges, business offices, administrative offices, community library, multipurpose hall, and accessory uses. MCWS proposes to construct an attached 41,558 square foot community center field house to the southern side of the current existing MAC building. The existing building was originally approved as an office building in 2001, with an addition approved on the north side in 2008. At its meeting on September 10, 2024, the Township Board approved the site plan. Since that time, the following recent changes have been made to the plan that require review by the Planning Commission and the Township Board. Number 1, the stormwater pond extension under property owned by Canton Township is proposed to expand farther eastward to meet stormwater requirements. And 2, the new development area, including the proposed parking lot, has shifted northward to accommodate a new 1-foot wide retaining wall along the south side of the property rather than grading onto the south site to the south. As a result, some of the landscape areas are narrower than the minimum widths required by the zoning ordinance. At its meeting on February 2nd, 2026, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the revised site plan subject to conditions. Let's see, Director Norwood, do you want to add anything?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Supervisor. I don't have anything to add, but Community Planner Patrick Sloan is also here to answer any other questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Patrick, do you want to add anything?
I have nothing else to add, but happy to answer any questions. And the representatives from the applicant are also in the audience to answer any questions as well.
Okay, would you like to add anything from our MCWS team? Yes, going up to if you would like to.
Evening, Commissioners. Yeah, no, we are, moving along with our project, and with every project there comes changes or challenges and things like that. So we adjusted because of the property owner to the south not being really available. He's overseas, and so the easement that we have not been able to. So made the adjustments accordingly, and and we really now finally see, a line of sight to get this project going.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Nope. So Patrick, could you explain a little bit about the pond? What is happening here and what you said, some of the...
Sure. There's currently a stormwater pond on the site, and it's in the northeast corner of the site. And the pond has been there for many years. And as part of the project, the applicant proposes to expand that pond to accommodate the stormwater from the proposed expansion. Farther east of their existing pond in the northeast corner is land owned by Canton Township. I'm not exactly sure when Canton had acquired the land and for what purpose, but it's land that is sandwiched between the Medina Activity Center to the west and I-275 to the east. And it has frontage on Palmer Road, but that frontage is limited access, so I don't even know if there can be a driveway that goes adjacent to Palmer Road. So in terms of use by Canton, there are some limitations with the use. Regardless, there's an existing access easement that goes to the Canton Township property for Canton to access the property for any purpose. And part of the site plan that's proposed is also proposed a modified access easement so that Canton Township will have assured access to that site. So that's kind of a long way to say that the use of the site of Canton Township is fairly limited. And so when we looked at the applicant's proposal to expand the stormwater pond and expand it further eastward onto Canton Township property, we were really open to that just because it didn't really limit any kind of use that Canton would prospectively have in that northern part of the township property. And we felt that expanding the stormwater pond would be a good thing to help, anything to help with stormwater management in this area of the community, while retaining a lot of the major access and use of that parcel if it's ever used for a purpose. So the applicant had proposed to expand their pond eastward, so a good portion of it goes onto township property. They are proposing to mitigate any tree removal beyond the standards of the ordinance. The standard of the ordinance has some exemptions, but any healthy tree that's on Canton property will be replaced on a one-to-one basis. Also, the pond on Canton's property is proposed to be landscaped in accordance with the landscape standards of the zoning ordinance. So the pond will have the same look, appearance, and function as other ponds in the community.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any questions or comments?
The applicant had a comment as well.
Would you mind? Thanks. So we can hear out in cable land.
Hi, Osama Oda. So I'm the civil engineer for the project, and I'm also a community member here. So it's a pretty awesome project to be working on. I just wanted to add that, Patrick, also with this particular pond expansion, we worked with Mark Murky with the engineering department. We accounted for the stormwater on the Canton Township property. So we're actually detaining for any kind of future trails and so forth on that property. So we're actually sized not just for our parcel, but also for the Canton Township parcel. So we're adding a little bit of stormwater mitigation for Canton Township's parcel.
Great, thank you.
I just thought to add that too, because it's a positive benefit as well.
Well, we also are looking at putting the pedestrian walkway on that bridge. Is that going to interfere at all with that? Is it in the same footprint when it comes across? Because they're putting that on the north side of the bridge or the south side? The north side.
On north side, okay.
Yeah, so I think if I understand, with the bridge design, it'll be on the north side of Palmer, and then the crossing will be at Haggerty.
Okay.
So we don't anticipate any interference with that bridge or the pedestrian access.
Tanya?
I have a quick question. How does since the pond is just the pond that's coming on the township property, the extension of the pond, how does the ownership issue work? Who is responsible? Well, the MCWS be for the pond and maintenance of it?
They have the proposed easement agreement, so there's an easement drawn for them to expand the pond. And I believe the easement agreement also has provisions for their continued maintenance of the pond.
Yeah,
There's a maintenance
yeah,
agreement.
I'm interested. Yeah, we would take responsibility for the
Okay.
pond and
Yeah, I know right now we're kind of starting a pond maintenance across the community.
Yeah, that's why I asked.
Any other questions? All right. All in favor of the motion on the table?
Aye.
Aye.
Against, nay? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next one, consider site plan for Muslim Education Community Center of America, Mecca.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve resolution number 2026-12 to approve the site plan for Mecca at 6200 North Ridge Road in planning application number 031-SPX-5758.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. The applicant Mecca proposes to construct a mosque on the 11.47-acre parcel at 6200 North Ridge Road, located on the east side of North Ridge Road between Ford Road and Hanford Road. The site is zoned R1, single-family residential, and religious institutions are special land uses in the R1 zoning district. The subject parcel includes a single-family residence on its west side, which is proposed for demolition as part of the proposed development. At its meeting on June 24, 2025, the Canton Township Board of Trustees approved a special land use application for a religious institution on the subject site. At its meeting on September 8, 2025, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the site plan application. Director Norwood, do you have anything to add?
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. I don't have anything to add, but Community Planner Patrick Sloan is also here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Patrick?
Nothing else to add to the report, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Summer isn't here. Do we have the applicants here today? No? Okay. Any questions from the board? All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Oh, wait.
Pardon? No, well, you can ask at the end now, but we have questions for agenda items at the beginning, but during, or so you do it at the beginning or at the end of the meeting? During public comment,
So we called for public comment
at the beginning,
on agenda items only
right?
earlier on in the meeting. And so that was closed. There's an opportunity to speak again towards the end of the meeting. But unlike a planning commission meeting where there is dialogue
During,
each individual item, the board meeting is conducted differently.
so you can ask questions at the end then. And we also have our staff here to answer questions. You can still ask questions.
That is correct.
All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. G3, consider authorization of 2 purchase orders for construction engineering and construction of the 26th Major Road Improvement Program.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the award of the 2026 Major Road Improvement Program to Fonson Company Incorporated and issue a purchase order to Fonson Company Incorporated in the amount of $900,000 and approve waiving the purchasing policy and the award of the 2026 Major Road Improvement Program Construction Engineering to Fishbeck LLC and issue a purchase order in the amount of $135,580.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Brzezinski. Engineering Services is requesting a purchase order in the amount of $900,000 to Fonson Company Incorporated. This includes a bid price of $782,421.23, plus a $117,578.77 15% contingency. The scope of work for the Gettys and Beck intersection improvement project includes the asphalt resurfacing of the intersection, as well as the addition of 3 right turn lanes. Further, Engineering Services is requested approval to issue a purchase order to Fishbeck LLC for construction engineering services for an amount not to exceed $135,580. Let's see, Director Norwood, do you want to add anything?
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. This is just a note about this is the continuation of the work we did on Gettys and Beck. We're basically completing this stretch of those 2 roads here at this intersection.
Thank you, Patrick. Do you want to add anything? Oh, no, this is not, I'm sorry, not a planning thing. Okay. Does the board have any questions or comments? No? Kate?
Yes, I noted that there are 3 right turn lanes that are going to be added. Could you just give us and the public an idea of where those are going?
So the intersection needs more right turn lanes as you enter into that intersection.
Yeah.
It's going to help with traffic flow. So they're going to be near the intersection.
Right, but I'm wondering specifically if they're, like, coming from the west eastbound, will there be a right turn lane, or do you have any specifics on it?
I don't have specific now, but I can get that to you, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Anything else? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. G4, consider waiving the bid process and approval for a purchase order for the repair parts costs required to complete the emergency water main repair on Michigan Avenue.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve a purchase order to Bravale LLC in the amount of $20,416.50 for the parts needed for the water main repair.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. On Thursday, February 5th, 2026, Public Works was notified there was a water main break on a 16-inch pipe located in the Michigan Avenue right-of-way. A crew was assigned to investigate and confirm that there was a water main break. Township crews began the shutdown and repair process. These operations lasted until the morning of February 6th. The water main was placed back into service that morning when another leak was discovered on the same length of pipe. A decision was made to remove that section of pipe, which would require the assistance of an underground contractor. The Public Works Department would acquire all the necessary pipe adapters and fittings to complete the repair. Due to the urgency of this matter, a memo was sent to the supervisor and finance director requesting to waive the bidding process for the emergency repair. Upon their approval, the purchase orders will be submitted. The emergency repairs were made. However, the repair costs for the pipe adapters exceeded the $20,000 purchasing policy and would require board approval. Additionally, the contractor's labor charge is anticipated to be under $20,000. If it should exceed the $20,000 policy, another RBA will be presented. Director Norwood, do you want to add anything?
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. This was a tricky job for Public Works. It was a 12-inch line, pre-stressed concrete. So generally, that's something we don't deal with very often. It's from the late 50s that water main was put in. So that's why we had to involve another contractor and get some other parts that were exceeded our usual things that we have within stock of Public Works.
All right, thank you. Questions or comments on this from the board? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. G5, consider approval to accept a grant from the Partnership for the Arts.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the required budget amendment and accept the $6,000 Partnership for the Arts grant for expanded theater education programming in 2026.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Treasurer Slavens. In the fall of 2025, the Village Theater at Cherry Hill applied to the Partnership for the Arts grant program. In December, the Village Theater was notified it was eligible for a $6,000 grant to expand its summer theater intensive program. This includes bus transportation from the campsite to the theater, offering a fully inclusive, sensory-friendly version of the summer production for people with disabilities. Parks, Recreation, and Community Service recommends accepting the $6,000 Partnership for the Arts grant. A budget amendment is necessary. Let's see, Director LaFever, do you want to add anything?
Just that we're very appreciative of our relationship with the Partnership for the Arts, and the theater staff work very hard to put this program together every summer, and it's very popular. And we always encourage anyone with children who have any interest whatsoever in the arts to come and check out this camp. It's a great way to have kids introduced to a stage performance with very little pressure. So it's a great program. We're very excited to be able to offer it.
And it's for kids 10 to 18. Very good.
Yes.
Any questions or comments? It'll be fun to watch. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. G6, consider awarding bid for Village Arts Factory parking lot improvements.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the required budget amendment and a purchase order to Fonson Company Incorporated for the Village Arts Factory parking lot improvements for a total project cost of $288,763.60. $736.32.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by Trustee Brudzinski. In November 2025, a request for proposal was advertised for the Village Arts Factory parking lot improvements, resulting in 2 submissions. Finance and PRC staff used responsible contracting to score their submissions, and of the 2, Fonson Company Incorporated scored the highest overall. Parks, Recreation, and Community Services is recommending to award the bid for the Village Arts Factory parking lot improvements to Fonson Company Incorporated for a project cost of $262,487.56 and an added 10% contingency of $26,248.76, making a total project cost of $288,736.32. A budget amendment is necessary. This is, let me see. Director LaFever, do you want to add anything to this one?
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. This is to complement the factory building that should open very soon this spring. We're very excited about it. So this is for the parking and the driveway approach to the building. So the timing of this is great if approved tonight. So this will allow us to improve the traffic flow and the drop-off and the safety of the building. So this is allowing some site improvements in front of the warehouse as well as the new factory building.
Thank you. Any questions from anyone? I can't wait till it opens.
Yeah.
And we're going to start submitting it for a lot of awards, hopefully, and get some more money to help with more improvements. All right. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Okay, now we have additional public comments. This is a time when you can comment and 3 minutes, and the board will not answer back and forth, but you can give your questions and then meet with, we have all of our staff members here to answer any questions to assist with that. So would you like to go up to, yes? No, anything you want.
Yeah.
If you mind just giving us your name and where you live.
My name's Linda Brakey. I live at 7835 Ridge Road, and I know I've communicated with you several times. When is the road going to be graded? That road is impassable. It's dangerous. There was a bus part that fell off. I just don't understand what the issue is. I don't have to speak for 3 minutes on it. I just need to know when the road is going to be graded.
Okay, thank you. You can speak to some of our staff, our MSD staff.
Have you all, by the way, driven down it yourselves?
My mother lives on a dirt road in Wayne County. I'm very well of how they are. Yes, I know.
Not everyone is like that.
Oh,
And when I cross over to Washtenaw County, across Napier, it's amazing. The infrastructure of Ridge Road, there is a problem, and I'm very concerned about the new mosque going in. Do we have a study on how many cars will be using Ridge Road between Warren and Joy and up to Ann Arbor Road?
yeah, you can speak to our staff afterwards, and
Okay.
they can talk to you. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Anthony. I don't know if you're aware, but there's like this smart bus tax transit proposal that's going to be on the ballot either in August or November. And I was just wondering, like, what the rest of the board thought about it. Anne Marie, you said, I definitely support public transportation being available to all residents in Canton, but we need to make sure the millage revenue from Canton comes back here to meet our needs. So it sounds like from what you said, you oppose the tax even though you support public transit. But I'm just wondering like what the other board members think about it. And I will also would like to make a call to support the repeal of House Bill 6088 from 2024. It basically added the following subsections. Subsection 8 says subsections 1 to 7 do not apply to a political subdivision within a county of a population of 1.1 million or more that has a public transit authority under this act after, well, okay, in basic, it just says that, like, it takes away the ability for counties of 1.1 million or more to opt in or out of public transit. So I would like to call for support for repealing that law.
Thank you. Thank you. If you want to stay, sometimes we'll comment on it. If you want to stay, and listen. Stay to the, okay? Any other?
Hello, Dina Mishlak. I'm at 7919 North Ridge Road. Seems to be a lot of activity in the last week that I've learned about Ridge Road. So the mosque, again, every time there's a new neighborhood, the apartment complex at Ford Road and Ridge, the new neighborhood at Warren and Ridge Road gets worse because there's a lot more people are motivated to try to take that as a shortcut. And Linda's lived here a lot longer than I have, but I've been on Ridge Road for 15 years. We've never seen it like this. And I think it's because the student drivers going into the high school like to take it, and we have all this extra traffic. And now a mosque, there's going to be a lot more traffic down the road. The other thing that I've learned in the last week, only because a neighbor ran into, I don't know what the right term is, a surveyor or someone from Salem putting flags down Ridge Road, that there's going to be a sewer line proposal that's going to take out all the trees on a natural beauty road. Destroying the whole reason I bought the property and chose where I lived. All this development, now a sewer line, you're going to take out the whole west side of the street to put in a sewer line. I've done research, sewer lines are usually 3 feet in diameter. It means you're going to take out 10 feet of trees. That's not a natural beauty road anymore. So I guess my question is what is the vision? When I moved here, it was rural Canton. And I just feel like I might as well move to Westland or Garden City because you're just building on everything. So I guess my question is just what's the vision for Ridge? Because right now it feels like you're going to just make it into another Beck. So if someone can tell me what the plan is, but I feel like you're destroying that street.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Let me look online. Anybody online? Let's see. What's that? Oh, nope. Did you want to comment, Mr. Miller? Okay, Mr. Flieger, 3 minutes. Mr. Flieger, you have to unmute.
Hello again.
Hello?
I would just like to reiterate, I'm here at Beck in Hanford, 47807 Hanford. Also feel the pain of the dirt road. They do pretty good at grading ours. It's not the best right now, but it was recently rocked. I want to further this discussion in one of your next learning sessions and speak with the engineering and infrastructure team to understand as we're developing the area further that we're trying to utilize any and all new technologies available to bring more sustainable revenue into the township. For example, this sewer line. Have we considered adding water turbines for this turbulent water to gain some energy from wasted water movement that's currently not capitalized on? In the ponding areas, if we're having directional inlets into these ponds, have we factored any renewable resources as far as turbines to triculate some energy back into the grid? These are things that I foresee as very incremental costs, but they will drive revenue into the system. And if we continue to chip away at all of these areas that have this waste of kinetic energy, hydro energy, turbines, air turbines, cylindrical, not big fans and things of this nature, but things that can be more appealing to the community, but do produce energy and money. So I'd like to just further this conversation farther down the line and see if I can communicate. I'm just a manufacturing engineer that has a high aptitude for future technologies and understanding what other countries are doing to bring more sustainability for the future.
Thank you. Okay, so we are going to go to administrative comments. Oh, he said he didn't. George?
I think he said he was going to wait.
Okay, sure, you can go up. Go on, George. Go on, Mr. Miller, we're waiting for you.
Yeah, he said he was going to wait.
Yeah.
George Miller. I'd like to address the issue on atomic waste over in Van Buren Township. Evidently, I see in the paper they have been awarded their contract. So this is how it basically works. They come into a township, these companies, and they buy a tract of land. They say, guess what? We're going to build a rec building for you. Here's $1 million. We're coming in. And that happened over in Van Buren. It happens in other places. So then they get rezoned from a sanitary landfill to a hazardous waste landfill because Eagle, your friendly environmental people, have never turned down a request that those guys have, even when they have spillage. So that atomic waste over there, I was at a meeting, and I'd like to know how they're going to purify that leachate system so we can drink it, and it's supposed to go up to the sewer plant up in Ypsilanti or another sewer plant. I'd like to see how they're going to do that. Next thing is snow fences. You had a issue here with a daycare or day camp with a snow fence. I'd like to know why you're using a snow fence in the summertime. And usually you put it up and take it down in April and put it up in November. I like to know that. These other businesses have to have a fence around it of some sort. The next thing I'd like to touch on, GFL. They reneged on the contract about a month when they did it. This township slid in the slot, picked up trash for a month. Okay, the services, I pay maybe $150 for a trash bill. The services, say 25 or 50 DPW people, were picking up trash. Their job is to mow lawns and do other stuff. It wasn't for picking up trash. Evidently, since I pay as a resident, whatever it is, $200 or $150, that money I would like a $10 or $20 rebate on that. I paid for it. I didn't get the services. They were contracted for that. The township stand good for it, and when those other people were out there doing picking up the trash instead of doing their job, which was kind of wrongdoing. Now let's go on to this. You spend $85,000 for a roundabout at Sheldon Ford Road. What do you plan to do with that property? It's around 55 by 75 foot deep. You're going to plant flowers on it, make a park or something? $85,000. Usually when you do something like that, you wait till it's done. You make an offer to buy it out or condemn it, and it's done. That's usually the procedure, but it looks like everything got ahead of the bid. Also, I'd like to know what's going to be on for the roof for the Village Theater. I hope that, God, it's not going to be another copper roof like on the Summit. You only see that in New York or Harvard University or U of M, not in Canton or Belleville or Livonia. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go into administrative comments. I'm going to start with Patrick. I don't know if you want to answer any of the things that you've heard online or the Residents' Council will speak to you afterwards, but do you have anything?
Sure. On the questions of the traffic with Mecca, they do have a traffic study that they've submitted, and they had submitted it with their special land use application and also with the site plan application. And I believe the traffic study is in the packet for the meeting this evening. Just looking through some of the vehicle trips, and I'm just looking at one of the tables in the appendices, and the traffic studies are quite long, but when I look at the peak hour of the Friday afternoon prayer. And this is, the peak time for that is not your typical AM peak and your PM peak when people are going to and from work, to and from school. The Friday afternoon prayer, it's around noon, between noon and 2 o'clock. That's really the peak time of when the mosque would be putting traffic onto the road. And so when we looked at the traffic study here, it looks like, and this is just looking at the table here, so just my initial impression at the intersection of Ridge and Warren, there were, during that peak time of 2 hours, between noon and 2 p.m., it looks like there's an additional 18 trips southbound on Ridge at that intersection, and an additional 20 trips northbound on Ridge at that intersection. So a handful of people going to the mosque, coming from the mosque during that time. So that's what had showed up in this particular table. Obviously, there were a lot more trips on the paved portion of Warren and Ridge and Ford and Ridge where the traffic was coming. So those are the intersections that were the most heavily studied. But there were some counts taken for Ridge and Warren, including the projected traffic increases.
Thank you. Can you also touch on today the housing? So right now, you're going to see this in the news a lot, is there's going to be 9 housing bills dropped by Lansing, which tie our hands on a lot of ability for us to control our master plan and our development. Could you comment on the letter that you received today and what your thoughts are on that?
Sure. So last week, there were 4 housing bills introduced in the Michigan legislature that the headline is they dealt with housing, but the reality is that they deal with a lot more. And some of the major things that we're seeing in the bills in terms of how the planning staff analyzes them, we can summarize them as follows. First, there's 2 of the bills, one bill affecting the Land Division Act and one bill affecting the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. They deal with minimum lot sizes. In Canton, some of our minimum lot sizes are for rural areas, 1 lot per 2 acres, per 5 acres. Some of our more dense areas, like our R4 district, 1 house per 8,400 square feet, which is about 5 units per acre. Fairly dense for a single-family residence. And then even more dense in Cherry Hill Village, where the lot sizes, some of the lot sizes are about 5,000 square feet or less, the really small ones. The proposed amendment to the state act would lower the minimum lot size statewide for communities with water and sewer to 1,500 square feet. 1,500 square feet is a really tiny lot. I'm not aware of many lots that have square footage of 1,500 square feet. The equivalent of a lot of 1,500 square feet is maybe a manufactured housing lot or a mobile home lot. If you were to envision lots in a mobile home park, those lots would be about 1,500 square feet. And so the proposed amendments to the Land Division Act and the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act would prohibit a local unit of government with water and sewer serving those areas, would prohibit imposing a minimum lot size greater than 1,500 square feet. Which means that if, for example, we have some vacant property, and we do in some of our rural areas where they're zoned for 2-acre minimum lot size, 5-acre minimum lot size, some of those areas could be subjected to additional development if there is water and sewer available, which in many cases there is. So like I was saying, the higher density suburban areas, like in the R4 and R5, it's about 5 units per acre. The state law would increase that to 20 units per acre, without regard to whether we had property zoned for rural residential or 1-acre zoning. As long as that property has access to public water and sewer, then the maximum lot size we can impose is 1,500 square feet. So that would throw off a lot of density calculations. We just spent a long time updating the master plan. Our master plan has a future land use map that shows proposed densities throughout the community. That future land use map is based on, I'll start with decades of study in terms of the capacity of our sewer system, our infrastructure, and our developed character, as well as more recently years of public comment for the most recent master plan with the survey, focus groups, stakeholder groups, open houses, and our public hearing process. And so that future land use map was presented during that public participation. The public was aware of it. We were very transparent in terms of the density calculations we were trying to do community-wide. And these bills effectively, with the mandated density that's in them, would render that ineffective in terms of density. I can't even begin to calculate what the build-out population would be based on that density. Also, for several decades, Canton has had a synchronous relationship between its future land use map density and its sewer system. So there's a very delicate balance between our projected long-term future land use map and the density associated with it and the capacity of our sewers to handle that. One of the things that concerns us is that if we have a very high dense development of 20 units per acre in one part of a community, that could take the remaining sewer capacity in that particular district and prohibit future planned residential growth in areas where it's more suitable. So that mandated density throughout the community and throughout any community with water and sewer with maximum 1,500 square foot lot sizes is very concerning. The second item that we're most concerned about, and this is not as much related to housing, is that there's a proposed amendment to the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act that would require a community to act on a site plan to either approve it or deny it within 60 days of application. And that's a very fast time track because, for example, let's say we get an application today, February 24th. Now we're on the clock. We have until April 24th, give or take, to either approve or deny that site plan. As we saw tonight, 2 of the site plans go to the Board of Trustees for action. If someone applied today, they wouldn't be able to get on next week's Planning Commission meeting. So we'd be looking at the Planning Commission meeting that's next available, which is April 6th. The Planning Commission would make a recommendation. It would go to the board. We wouldn't be able to wait until the second board meeting in April, which would be the regular calendar. We would have to fast track that onto the board's agenda in early April. If that particular site plan was deficient, then it would likely have to be denied, which means that the applicant would have to reapply and go through the same process. It would be a longer time frame for applicants. It would be a lot more fees for the applicant, and it would be a lot more fuller agendas of incomplete plans. And in some cases where we don't have staff time to review it, or we don't have time to postpone action on things to consider public comment or the results of certain studies like traffic studies or stormwater studies or noise studies, we would have to fast track that to the Planning Commission and the board for a decision, which in many cases, unfortunately for those applicants, would be denial because there are many applications that don't make it to the Board of Trustees because we spend time with staff working through the issues, trying to fine tune certain things, and in some cases, if an application doesn't make it past the Planning Commission or it's withdrawn, it doesn't make it all the way to the board. That part of the act applies to all site plans. And one of the first things that I think about are not just housing developments, but large industrial developments like data centers. If a community gets an application for a large data center, especially a rural community that may not have the staff and resources of Canton Township, they may not even know what their obligations are within that 60-day period. They might send the plans out to the consultants, get the review letters back a few weeks later, and then depending on their calendars for their planning commission and their boards, they might not be able to act within 60 days, and that could put them in legal jeopardy of having to defend a lawsuit by not acting on a site plan within a state-mandated 60-day period. So I understand that the intent of the state legislature is to try to fast-track reviews of housing, but that will actually slow reviews down long-term. It's going to add time and expense on the back end of developments, and it's going to apply to large industrial developments like data centers where there's going to be even more pressure on local governments to act on those plans and get their work done within 60 days. And as I said, a lot of these communities are not as well set up like Canton is, that has the resources on the very front end to really get through plans very quickly and efficiently. So where it takes more time, it's going to be a lot more pressure on the locals.
Thank you very much. So that, I'm just telling the board and the community that because we are going to be doing a call to action. So there were 1,300 elected officials across Michigan that basically said, no, we can't do this to this plan. It's taking our master plans and basically throwing them across the room and saying, this doesn't matter. We're telling you from Lansing what you can do in your communities and what you can't. So we are asking, the community will be putting this out to HOAs and asking the board members to write your State Representative Ranjiv Puri, State Representative Rep. Hertzberger, Dana Polhanke, Senator, and the governor's office, because from what I'm understanding, she's also saying she's going to support it, to say what this is going to do to our community. So we did a big press conference today, and at SEMCOG from communities across southeastern Michigan, and even Lansing came, the mayor from Lansing came, and we have to stop this because we will lose even more local decision-making of how our community runs or develops. So thank you, Patrick. And Patrick has been on the forefront. He's written a lot. He's helped us write a letter pointing out a lot of these deficiencies. Rep. Matt Hall is pushing this forward, but unfortunately, it seems like it's a bipartisan push. And if it passes the House and gets to the Senate, it means we're all, we just have to keep fighting it somehow. But we'll be sending that out. All right. Afterwards, please. Thanks. Thank you.
And one item I would like to add to that, I did mention density of mobile home parks and manufactured housing parks. That's only for example purposes only. In Canton Township, we have not been against those. We have 8 manufactured housing parks in Canton Township that I can think of just off the top of my head. And I think that the percentage of our housing that is manufactured housing parks is more than likely higher than the percentage in Southeast Michigan or statewide. So we're familiar with that housing type, so that's why the example. And we have many areas in Canton where we've approved more affordable types of housing, more attainable types of housing, and we have a housing needs assessment underway to try to expand upon that based on the goals of our master plan. So that is an effort that we are being proactive about on the local level. So that ends up being preempted on the state level for different reasons, but just to show that we are making a concerted effort community-wide to advance that.
Correct. And they keep calling this, they're titling it affordable housing, but it actually is not affordable. It will not reduce the cost of housing. It will actually increase it. Because in many of these places are saying to place houses, fields, there's no infrastructure there to support it. There's no water, there's no sewer. So it's a farce what title it's under, and that's why these are 9 bills that are detailing things that will tear apart our master plan.
And one analogy that I've given before is that it's a state mandated minimum, so somebody can go higher. So in some of our areas that are more ripe for development where there might be more McMansions, one analogy I gave is we may have 6,000 square foot lots with 5,000 square foot houses.
Yeah, correct. Right, 5 feet from the property line. Correct. All right, thank you, Patrick. Emma, do you have anything? So Emma, for those of you who are here, Emma is our resident advocate, and she can help with a lot of questions also at the end of the meeting. And so we'll introduce you then. Thank you. John, do you have anything? No. Deputy Chief? No?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. No?
I do have some information for Trustee Bardinsky. So on the Beck and Geddes Road project, so on Beck Road, as you approach from the northbound, going from the north of the intersection going southbound, there'll be a right turn added there. When you're going northbound on Beck, approaching the intersection, to go eastbound on Geddes, there'll be a right turn lane there. And then when you're coming eastbound on Geddes, approaching the intersection, there'll be a right turn to go southbound on Beck Road.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Deputy Supervisor? Amara?
I wanted to give a shout out to Director Norwood for bringing in some things for our today. He called me up and he offered, so I appreciate his kindness and his generosity. Besides that, I don't really have anything. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks. Kate?
I don't really have anything, but I did hear that we might get up to 2 inches of snow tonight, so just everyone traveling safely.
Better than Rhode Island. They got 35 inches.
Yeah, well, a lot better than the East Coast, yes.
Diane?
Well, thank you for bringing in the lovely meal for iftar. We really, really appreciate that. Thank you. And then just a quick reminder to folks, taxes were due on the 17th this year. And then we do have to send the delinquent roll to Wayne County March 1st. So if you haven't paid your taxes, please try and pay them at Township Hall so that you don't have to go down to Wayne County to pay them. And I always advise people not to use the post office anymore. We've got a drop box. You can drop it off or come in to our office to pay, and our drop box goes right into our vault, so it's nice and safe. So I just want to try and help people so they don't have delinquent bills down in Wayne County.
Right, I'm getting Christmas cards back from the post office now that I December. The post office is having a hard time. Tanya?
I don't have anything. I'm listening to Patrick's discussion of all the things that are happening in Lansing is very concerning because
Yep.
we and the township are working on, we have started some discussion on attainable housing, but this really doesn't people can do anything with this restriction of 1,500 square feet. Like, this is not really affordable housing. Affordable housing is, when you have the infrastructure to build things, as you said.
Yeah.
So I would request our residents to also to send their, as with all the elected officials, I would request all the residents also to reach out to their elected officials in Lansing.
Yes. We're gonna work and send out an email to the HOAs, 250 HOAs to spread that out also, all the info. Michael?
Well, this was an active board meeting. I'm just in my head thinking about everything that transpired and things that might deserve comment. I think there was a question about the transit millage. I haven't even seen a transit plan, so I don't even know how I could even entertain a position on a transit millage until I have an idea of what they would plan on doing with the money. So that's kind of just typically how I make decisions. Try taking information and then make an opinion about it. So I'm waiting to see what they come up with for the smart village. The discussion about Ridge Road, there was the question, which I think is a really good one. What is the vision for Ridge Road? If I can just take a little bit of time to talk about it from my perspective and talk a little bit about what the board has tried to accomplish up to this point. Development in Canton is interesting, and it's hard sometimes to pinpoint who to be angry with over which particular thing happened. The apartments at Ford and Ridge weren't approved by the township board. They were approved through a judicial consent agreement because there was a lawsuit because of the charter school next door, which the township had denied at 2 other locations and was sued by the charter school. And so in that lawsuit, both Sing and National Heritage Academies were able to enter into a consent agreement with the township, which allowed for a school and apartments to be built at a corner that we would have never approved in the first place. But we also, and it's important to note, is the township denied 2 locations for that school. There are legal consequences for saying no sometimes if you don't do it the correct way and carefully. And even then, you can still find yourself in court and the costs become astronomical. Philosophically, I am not interested in using taxpayer dollars to pay developers when we lose lawsuits so that they can build their houses with our tax money. So we have to be very careful about how we make decisions from a planning standpoint. So we have Patrick. He's really good at that. Keeps us out of legal trouble. But one of the benefits is we did acquire 136 acres across the street from Sing, which was going to be a gigantic subdivision. And now it's a nature preserve. It will never be a subdivision. It will always be a nature preserve forever. 136 acres in Canton Township, the largest plot of land in Canton Township, will always be a nature preserve. It will be rural, and it will be beautiful. And I'm proud of that. We called for the creation of the Canton Nature Society to steward that land, to reduce the cost to the taxpayers. Further on down the road, and this is important to me because I grew up at Joy and Ridge, and I currently live at Ford and Ridge. So I do know that road. That road is graded by the county. We appreciate your concern and your anger. We amplify and uplift that. We frequently contact the county and try to get good services. We are on their schedule. And so we will obviously bring that up to them, but we are not the jurisdiction responsible for the grading. And then additionally, as it relates to the sewer line that could be going in down Ridge Road, this is a complicated one, and this is one that you're not going to like. Salem Township wanted to put a gigantic
Sewage plant.
yeah, water treatment facility.
Sewage plant.
Sewage plant. And that sewage plant was going to discharge about 1 million gallons of treated sewer wastewater into the Fellows Creek, which runs behind your house. It runs down that portion of Canton Township, which has flooded and floods all the time. It flooded all of Ford Road 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't know anymore. It caused millions of dollars of damage in the township. It will flood again. And floods again with an extra 1 million gallons of water, we're in big trouble. And so we did everything we possibly could to make sure there wasn't going to be an extra 1 million gallons of water in that creek. And that was, we did everything we possible to make sure that that sewage plant wasn't built in Salem Township. Also did not want a sewage plant at that portion because if you do get another 100-year rain, what happens in sewage plants is they have what's called an involuntary discharge, which is where they can no longer treat the water as fast as it's coming in, and so they will release raw sewage into a creek. It would be the Fellows Creek, which runs behind our homes. And so when the water floods, it would not just be water, it would also be sewage. So there's a lot of reasons we did not want that sewage facility built in Salem Township. But there was a cost. And that was that we were going to let Salem Township build a sewer down Ridge Road to keep the 1 million gallons of water out of the Fellows Creek. And so it will change temporarily because trees grow and trees are beautiful. It will temporarily change what Ridge Road will look like as a natural beauty road. Those trees will be replanted. They will be. It will take a long time for that to happen again. But the sewer is really to protect all of Canton Township from a sewage wastewater treatment plant dumping potentially sewage in the future into Canton Township. That's my best attempt at answering those questions.
Thank you, Michael. So I'm sorry, man, we'll just, after the board, you can talk. I just want to add to what Clerk Seeger said. So let's start, since we're on Ridge Road, let's start with the Salem Township sewer line. So as it was said, hundreds of people showed up at that town hall to stop the sewage treatment plant. We met with Eagle, Salem Township, and Canton Township met approximately, I think, in November to discuss how we could do a sewage line through Canton versus dumping the sewage into Fellows Creek. The agreement was that they would look at putting the force main sewage pipe down the middle of Ridge Road so that they wouldn't go down the side and tear down all the trees. So we insisted that they go down the middle of the road. We understand that there's going to be times where they're going to have to go off perpendicular to basically burp the system, but the majority of the pipe should be down the middle of Ridge Road. So that was a demand that we made. So we're waiting for that study right now. So probably last week, Salem Township finally passed this study to start happening. So what you're seeing when you're seeing people out with the flags, they're doing measurements. But we are insisting, we will see the study, we will approve how it goes through Canton Township. We'll be very strong about that. So we're insisting, again, down the middle of Ridge Road, over to the side for little burps, but it has to come back to the middle. So that's one thing. In terms of dirt roads, believe me, I understand. I went to pick up my elderly parents the other day, and I was going up and down their dirt road and getting stuck. And so there's a couple of things. I want to encourage the residents to get online. There's a couple of things. You can call 1-800-ROAD CREW. What happens is a Wayne County person answers the phone, and they take a little report and put it in the portal that there's an issue. I would advise people, if you can, get online instead and file a ticket. Keep that ticket number. And what happens is we track those tickets if you call us, and Emma helps us with that. We track those tickets. Our MSD team also helps. I wrote a letter to Assad. He's a deputy county executive on Friday. And I gave him some of those tickets numbers, and I said, it was specifically Hanford Road and Ridge Road. I gave him those ticket numbers and said, we need to do something about this. Pictures of the bus that you spoke of were put in the pictures. There were some vehicles that were also put in the pictures. So I also asked him to give some alternatives to residents about what could be done about Ridge Road and Hanford Road, whether it be, if it's allowed to be paved, how would that be done? Because that would, again, be all of Wayne County's decision. But if you send us the tickets and you continually track those tickets and put them down, we will make sure that that gets sent to Wayne County, and we will do this every other week. We used to have a meeting with them. They don't meet with us anymore. So what we do is we're doing this all via email and phone calls. So please send that to us, and paper trail is the best. So get your ticket numbers, send them to us, and we will keep tracking those tickets. Let's see. We talked about transit. So transit, of course, that was another thing where Lansing kind of took away our power. So we were creating our own transportation plan to connect all the communities in the SMART system. What ended up happening is County went to the legislation and had them vote to not allow us to have any choice. And 2 weeks ago at the Conference of Western Wayne, the deputy county executive came and did like a small proposal of what they've been doing, and that they're going to be doing the ballot millage right now. They gave us a draft. Diane, you saw it, right? They gave us a draft of the plan so we can send it to the board. It did show several stops along Ford Road. I guess, again, it was a draft. It showed several stops along Michigan Avenue. Again, it's a draft. And so I know Erin in our planning division, who's really on top of this and working with the communities, is going to, we're going to schedule another meeting with Wayne County and RTA and SMART to say, we think this plan, okay, it's a good start, but this is what we need, and we want to make sure that our residents can utilize this. They also had a line going up and down Haggerty Road. So we know that the residents have said in all our communities, they want to be able to get to Washtenaw County, University of Michigan, or the hospital. They also said they want to be able to get to the airport. So we're pushing for that. So we'll pass the draft plan out to the board. Let me see, so, atomic waste. So last week, our second trial finished with atomic waste. Basically, we had actually Dr. Abdul El Saeed. He helped us out. He did excellent talking about what radiation does to the body. And I think Judge Cox is working on right now what he's going to do, whether he's going to allow radioactive waste or still keep it outside of Michigan, and we hope he does. Again, it's an uphill battle because we're fighting federal legislation on this, but we will continue to fight. The closing statements were actually a week from today, last Tuesday, the closing statement. So we're just waiting for Judge Cox to do the ruling. But you're right, Eagle did expand the yard, unfortunately. So Eagle expanded it, and there's a group, okay, George, there is a group called Residents Against Atomic Waste, and they're gathering money right now to file an appeal with Eagle and fight this in court. So that is out there. We can put that out. So basically, everything that you do with court, of course, costs money. Another thing, when we assisted GFL with picking up trash because they were way behind and we wanted to make sure residents didn't have that, they did reimburse us. Isn't that correct? We charged them that money, so they paid us back. We kept track of the hours and the equipment, and we charged GFL for that. I think that I covered everything. The roundabout also, we didn't have anything about $85,000 so I don't know what that was about, but okay. But anyways, our staff is here to answer any further questions, but I think I covered everything. But again, keep track of your tickets, do it online about the dirt roads, even if you have to do it every day, because that's what I have my mother doing every single day. And then keep track of those tickets, and then we will submit them, and Emma behind you can help with that also. Okay, and questions you can ask after. All right, well, the board, anything else? No? Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Seeger, supported by 3 people. Trustee Ganguly, Trustee Borninski, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Meeting adjourned, and we're here to answer questions.